This channel does not promote or encourage any illegal activities. All contents provided by this channel is meant for educational purpose only.
Las Vegas, the entertainment capital of the world, a place of endless lights, excitement, and dreams. Every night, the Strip comes alive with tourists, gamblers, and music lovers. But on the night of October 1st, 2017, this city of joy became the setting of America's deadliest mass shooting in modern history. The Route 91 Harvest Festival was an annual country music event held on the Las Vegas Strip, a three-day festival that brought together thousands of fans from across the country. The final night of the festival was headlined by country star Jason Aldean. Families, friends, and couples gathered, unaware that the night would soon turn into a scene of horror. At 10:05 p.m., a sudden, rapid popping sound echoed through the festival grounds. At first, many in the crowd thought it was fireworks, maybe part of the show. But within seconds, the horrifying reality became clear. The sounds were not fireworks. They were gunshots, hundreds of them. Before we dive into the terrifying events of October 1st, 2017, let's take a moment to understand the man behind the attack, Stephen Paddock. Who was he? What led him to commit the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history? And why did he leave behind no explanation? Stephen Craig Paddock was born on April 9, 1953, in Clinton, Iowa. He was the son of Benjamin Hoskins Paddock, a notorious bank robber who was once on the FBI's most wanted list. His father was described as a psychopath by law enforcement, and he spent years in prison before escaping and going into hiding. However, despite his father's criminal past, Stephen Paddock led a relatively quiet and unremarkable life, or so it seemed. But there was another side to Paddock, one that few people knew about. He was an obsessive gambler, spending hours, even days, in Las Vegas casinos. He often played video poker for high stakes, sometimes wagering tens of thousands of dollars in a single night. According to casino employees, he wasn't flashy or loud. He was quiet, calculating. He treated gambling like a business, never showing much emotion, whether he won or lost. Despite his wealth, Paddock lived an isolated life. He had no history of violent crime, no significant social circle, and no deep political or religious beliefs. His long-term girlfriend, Marilu Danley, described him as a man who kept things to himself. He rarely spoke about his personal thoughts, and in the months leading up to the shooting, he became even more withdrawn. Then in the months before the attack, Paddock started buying guns, dozens of them. Between October 20th, 16 and September 20th, 17, he illegally purchased over 55 firearms. Most were high-powered rifles, modified with bump stocks to increase their firing rate. He also bought thousands of rounds of ammunition. But why? What was he planning? No one knew, not even those closest to him. On September 25th, 2017, just 6 days before the massacre, Paddock checked into the Mandalay Bay Resort and Casino. He booked a suite on the 32nd floor, overlooking the festival grounds where tens of thousands of people would soon gather. Over the next few days, he slowly transported his arsenal into his room. Suitcase after suitcase, filled with weapons and ammunition. Hotel staff saw nothing suspicious. After all, he was a regular, a high-rolling gambler who had stayed there many times before. Inside his suite, Paddock set up a sniper's nest. He placed cameras in the hallway so he could monitor anyone approaching his room. He positioned his rifles near the windows and used a hammer to break the glass, giving himself a clear line of sight to the festival below. The preparations were meticulous, methodical. He knew exactly what he was doing. In the hours before the attack, Paddock acted like any other guest. He ordered room service. He played video poker. He made no phone calls, sent no messages, left no notes. Then, as the final performance of the Route 91 Harvest Festival began, he returned to his room. He locked the door, and at 10:05 p.m., he opened fire. What drove Stephen Paddock to commit this atrocity? To this day, no one knows for sure. The FBI spent years investigating, but they found no clear motive, no ties to terrorism, no political agenda, no personal vendetta. He was a man of mystery, a killer who left behind no answers, just destruction, just death. It was 10:05 p.m. The crowd below was completely unaware of what was about to happen. Jason Aldean, the country music star, was on stage, performing his hit song, When She Says Baby. The festival goers were sitting along, enjoying the final night of the Route 91 Harvest Festival. But then, the first shots rang out. At first, many in the crowd thought it was fireworks, maybe part of the show. The music continued, and people barely reacted. But within seconds, the terrifying reality set in. These weren't fireworks. They were bullets. Then a second volley of gunfire, louder, faster, relentless. The crowd turned to chaos. People screamed, ducked, ran in every direction, but there was nowhere to go. From his vantage point on the 32nd floor, Paddock had the perfect sniper's nest. He fired more than 1 rounds into the crowd, aiming at random, his rifles equipped with bump stocks, modifications that allowed his semi-automatic weapons to fire almost as fast as a machine gun. The bullets tore through the festival grounds, hitting men, women, and even children. People dropped to the ground, trying to shield themselves, but the bullets kept coming. Some ran for cover behind food stands, behind fences, behind anything they could find. Others lay still, pretending to be dead, hoping the shooter wouldn't see them. But from 400 yards away, he wasn't targeting individuals. He was shooting into the masses. At first, no one knew where the shots were coming from. Some thought there were multiple shooters. Some thought the gunfire was coming from inside the festival grounds. Police scrambled to locate the source, but then reports started coming in. A shooter was firing from a high-rise window at Mandalay Bay. Las Vegas Metro police officers quickly identified the 32nd floor of Mandalay Bay as the origin of the attack. But getting to the shooter would take time the victims didn't have. By 10:10 p.m., the gunfire paused. Then it resumed. Another burst of shots, another wave of panic. This pattern continued for nearly 10 minutes. Bullets raining down, brief pauses, then more gunfire. Every second felt like an eternity. At 10:15 p.m., the gunfire stopped. Silence. Had the shooter run out of ammunition? Was he reloading? No one knew, but the damage was already done. 58 people lay dead. Over 850 others were injured. The concert grounds had become a war zone. At 11:20 p.m., more than an hour after the first shots were fired, SWAT teams stormed Paddock's suite. They found his body on the floor. He had taken his own life before police could reach him. Around him, they found 23 rifles, thousands of rounds of ammunition, and a chilling detail. Cameras set up inside and outside the room, allowing him to see when officers were coming. In the days and weeks that followed, investigators searched for answers. Was this an act of terrorism? Was it politically motivated? Was there a manifesto? But the answer was always the same: nothing. No note, no social media rants, no clear motive. Paddock had planned this attack with extreme precision, but he left behind only questions.
In some ways, it feels like it happened yesterday. In some ways, it feels like it was 1,000 years ago.
Emily Cantrell took this photo at the Route 91 Harvest Festival at 10:01 p.m. on October 1st, 2017. 4 minutes later, her life changed forever.
You know, it's hard. Even 5 years later, while I don't have a bullet in my body, at times it feels like I have one in my head or in my heart.
She could feel those invisible wounds the next time she went to a Seattle Mariners game.
There was a pregame fireworks show, and I cowered and cried.
It's the same every 4th of July, a joyful holiday now filled with dread.
I used to love fireworks. 4th of July used to be one of my favorite holidays, and now I leave our country. This year, I tried to stick it out, and on July 3rd, I ended up buying a ticket out of the country and left the morning of the 4th.
And though she does still go to concerts, she takes precautions now.
I won't go unless I have tickets that are on an aisle, near an exit.
The ripples are still felt by so many. Even I was in Vegas that night covering another story and happened to be staying in a hotel room 6 floors above the gunman.
We're in the Four Seasons Hotel, which is part of the Mandalay Bay complex.
Our team was forced to lock down, reporting live through the night. In a matter of minutes, thousands were traumatized, and for some, it's still hard to find help. Emily has worked with 6 therapists in 5 years. She points to challenges with insurance and billing, but more than anything says in her experience, it's hard finding someone to help with the specific trauma she experienced.
We have such a long ways to go when it comes to mental health for survivors of gun violence.
And Father, we lift up for all of those that are in
Her struggles are not surprising, says the American Psychological Association.
Even before the pandemic, we didn't have enough therapists to treat the mental health needs of our country. And in this issue in particular, we just don't have enough therapists who have been trained and specialized in evidence-based trauma treatment.
Dr. Vail Wright says there are effective treatments, just not enough people. Emily actually did click with one therapist, a combat veteran.
We had many sessions together, and I felt like I was finally making progress. And at that time, she decided to stop practicing. I was devastated. I think I cried.
What helped, she says, is her work with a gun violence prevention group and the dog she adopted, Sherman, her unofficial therapy pet. Today, as she marks another year since that life-changing night.
It'll be tough. It's always tough to feel like the rest of the world has moved on.
To commemorate the tragedy, Las Vegas is holding a sunrise remembrance ceremony, and tonight the names of the victims will be read at 10:05 p.m., the time of the shooting. As for that shortage of trauma therapists, Dr. Vail says technology like telehealth could help expand access and fill some of the gaps that they are seeing.
Remembering 1 October, next week Las Vegas will mark 7 years since a deadly shooting. After the tragedy, a healing garden was built in downtown to honor the 58 victims. Now it's part of our community. Kamari Scara has more.
7 years later, and it's still hard for the community to wrap their heads around what happened that fateful day 7 years ago. So many lives lost, and the Healing Garden is just one of the ways that it's hoping to honor the victims of the tragedy and press forward together as a community. Now, of course, the Healing Garden took a community effort. One of those people behind bringing it to life is Jay Plegancool. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. Talk to us about, first of all, what you remember about 1 October.
I just remember waking up and feeling completely lost, not believing that this could happen in our backyard. And I knew that we needed to do something as a community to come together for something good to offset just such a horrific evil.
In the Healing Garden, we've been here all morning. It's such a beautiful piece, a beautiful way to honor the victims with their pictures and their stories. How did you come up with the idea to honor the victims in this way?
I am a landscape architect, a gardener, and I love to plant. And I thought if we could create a garden and maybe plant a tree for each person who lost their life, so there was something tangible that we could all come together and remember those people by, and that would continue on into the future. That's the thought of it.
And what are some of the key elements of the Healing Garden that people want to look out for when they come and visit, whether to reflect, pray, whatever it may be?
So when people come to the garden, they'll see a heart that's in the center of the garden, and that represents the heart of our community. The top of the heart has shattered tiles on it, and those are all put back together. And in some ways it makes life more interesting with the broken pieces put back together. There are tiles that are hand painted by community members, so everybody can express themselves in this garden and have part ownership of it. There's a tree of life that represents the community, those of us left behind. That was a donation by Siegfried and Roy.
And I also understand that there are 58 trees here attached to the story for each victim. Truly beautiful, deeply heart-moving, and just offering so much hope to the community. Jay, thank you so much for joining us. Now, the Healing Garden will host a 1 October remembrance ceremony with the city of Las Vegas. It'll take place Tuesday, October 1st, the 7th anniversary of 1 October attack at 10:05 p.m. Back to you all.
The Las Vegas shooting was the deadliest mass shooting in modern U.S. history. It changed the lives of thousands in just minutes. It reignited debates over gun laws, particularly the legality of bump stocks, which were later banned in 2019. But for the families of the victims, no law, no policy change could bring back what was lost that night. October 1st, 2017 will forever be remembered as a night of tragedy, but it was also a night that revealed the strength of humanity, the bravery of first responders, the selflessness of strangers, and the resilience of a community that refused to be broken. We remember the lives lost. We honor the survivors, and we hope that tragedies like this will never happen again.